At the end of December, I'm hosting a free 3-day mini training called Your 2026 Habit Reset because you can't do 2026 with 2025's bullshit. And this is actually going to live inside of Instagram close friends list. So if you've ever seen someone's story that has a green circle around it and you're like, what is that green circle? It's because they have manually added you to their close friends list. Like I have to go through and manually add you guys to this list. So what I'm going to be doing is a behind the scenes training on how I reset and build my personal habits and rituals. All right. So I think this is the perfect time to be doing this as we head into the new year. I want to basically give it all to you guys. I want you guys to see how I mess with my skylight calendar and how I set chores for my kids and my daily 3 non-negotiables, like what I do every single day inside my morning rituals. What do I do when I get inside my office? My workday startup rituals, my workday shutdown, so I don't take work home with me, which is just right out of my office, right here into my kitchen and living room, my home life, like shutting the laptop, checking email, checking Slack, like the things I need to do at the end of the day to basically shut down the day. And then one of the best things we're going to be doing is setting and planning your annual 2026 goals. How do you set smarter goals? That's a big one too. It's not just setting vague, generic goals. So I'm going to be laying out that foundation, how we do that. So if you want in, just DM me the word close. That's CLOSE on Instagram. It's at Lacey_Gebo. That's LACEY_GEBO. Shoot me a DM, say close, and I will manually add you guys. The cool thing about this is it's not live. There's no Zoom calls. There's no set times. As long as you watch it within that 24 hours before the story expires, you're getting everything. So you can do it on your own terms. That's the coolest thing about this. So I hope to see you guys there. You can interact. You can ask questions. It's going to be really good, and I'm really pumped for this. Okay, let's dive into today's podcast. We are talking about the 6 non-negotiables that I would require of my assistant as we head into 2026. And these are standards, you guys. These are what I want to hold my assistant, not only my assistant, but my team accountable to. Like these are the non-negotiables. If there's anything that I could tell you guys in the past decade of working with assistants, these are the things that I would be focusing on. I would make a non-negotiable sheet, and these are the 6 things that I would put on there. Okay. This episode is about getting crystal clear on what is a non-negotiable for your assistant. It's about structure and truly setting your assistants up to win. Not only setting your assistants up to win, because if they win, you win. All right. If assistants feel frustrated, if they feel inconsistent, exhausted, it is usually a leadership and a system issue. And a lot of times it's not a people issue. It's not a them issue. It's a you issue. And I wrote in here on my notes, mic drop, because so often we as salon owners go to blame. I made the wrong hire. They're not a good fit. Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they showing up? Why? All the things. It comes back on you. It is you not being clear in your leadership. It is you not setting standards and I say crystal clear expectations on what you expect. In 2026, standards are going to matter more than they ever have before. We must be clear. We must communicate efficiently, and we must be consistent. All right, you guys ready? Let's dive in. Number 1, your assistant should know and track their numbers and yours. Assistants should be trained to understand the numbers that drive the business and their own growth. What are we doing if our assistant, they don't know their numbers? They don't know what they're doing in services. They don't know what they're doing in retail. They don't know their goals. That's a problem. This is a huge problem, and I see it over and over and over again. We show up, they're there to assist, they're there to do pretty hair, but at the end of the day, they do not know the data, and neither do you. And the reason they don't know the data is because you don't know the data. If you knew the data, talking about numbers, they would know it. because you lead by example and it comes back to you. So what this includes, I'm talking about tracking daily, weekly, and monthly numbers. And let's keep it super simple right now. You're like, what numbers? Let's just talk about service dollars and retail dollars. Let's start with just the dollars. Very simple. We do this inside of our daily trackers. We have trackers that are daily. They can fill out service dollars, retail dollars. We have a lot more metrics in there as far as tracking, like pre-books. How many color guests did they have today? How many extension guests? How many social media posts did they do today? Or stories? Like it tracks all of the important metrics. We also call these KPIs inside of our daily trackers. All right, we have this a huge asset and resource inside of the Assistant University and inside of Culture, our continuing education membership. And that's a big one. I love when I see all of our students using these, and their assistants are responsible for filling them out. They're responsible for filling your tracker out. You should not be doing that. You should oversee and, of course, double, triple check. I would weekly review it and then monthly dive in and make sure it's all up to date. But it is your assistant's responsibility to do that at the end of every day. At the end of their shift, before they jot out the door, they're tracking their numbers. What did I do today? What was my service dollars? What were our retail dollars? And they're doing it yours. When they assist you, they're filling out your tracker. Okay. Knowing your key numbers and how they impact the business. Like I said, we're going to keep it super simple. Let's start with service and retail. Let's just start there. If you're not tracking anything, that's where I want you to start. Then we're going to dive into understanding pre-book percentages, guest retention, and retail solutions. Okay, I said that above, service and retail, but I like to call it retail solutions. That's just changing the verbiage slightly. Instead of like prescribing retail, they are solutions for our guest. What this also includes is just knowing their own benchmarks and goals and how they contribute to the entire ecosystem, which is your company. They need to know that they are a portion of that and they're a portion of the bigger overall arching goal. I would share your goals with them, your personal and the company. So why does this matter? Numbers remove emotion and confusion. Get them familiar with pulling the data and making data-based decisions. So when they look at this and they're like, I'm only pre-booking 10%, that they know, my benchmark is 50 inside of phase 1, inside the assistant program, which is in your ultimate assistant guide, which I'm going to link below. If you don't have a guide, you need to get started with our ultimate assistant guide. We've got goals in there for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of your assistant program. And if they see and they can visually see 10%, but I need to be at 50, there's room for approval. Take the emotions out. Shit, I got to start pre-booking my people. How do you do that? Give me scripts, give me verbiage. Okay, do you guys see how this removes emotion and confusion? But if they don't know, they're just wandering around, I'll say tirelessly, like having no clear path. Assistants who understand numbers show up with intention and just show up better. Can I say that? That they just show up better? And they do. The ones that are data-driven and care about their numbers and want to track their tips and know what their service dollars are, they show up better. You cannot expect ownership for them to do any of this without visibility and transparency, and that falls back on you. So let me give you an example. For instance, if you're like, where do I even start with setting their service and retail goal? Because they need a goal and they need to know what that is. I'm going to break this down. I wrote out some numbers. It is simple math, you guys, and your numbers are going to look differently, but I'm going to show you guys how you can do this. So let's say our assistant's goal is $1,600 a month in total services. Their goal, this particular assistant, they are an assistant at this time, is $1,600 in services a month and 160 in retail. That's a 10% RTS. So they'll be selling 10% retail based on their service dollars. That's how I got the 160, 10%. Their goal weekly should be 372 in services and 37 in retail. I just broke it down by dividing it by 4.3. Okay. You're going to divide that by 4.3. There's 4.3 weeks in a month. So that gives us $372 in services and $37 in retail. Then breaking that down to their daily goal would be $186 in services and $18.50 in retail. This is if they are working 1 to 2 days a week behind the chair or anywhere from, let's say, 6 to 8 hours. So this could be like an 8-hour shift and they're getting 2 colors in, or maybe you're breaking it up and they're taking a guest after they assist you one day. So they take a 3:30 or 4:30 color and then they come in on a Saturday. So maybe they are working 2 days, but it's still limited hours. Let's say they're in phase 1 or phase 2 of the assistant program. Okay. All they need is 8 color guests to hit this. That's 2 a week. But maybe they don't see 8 color guests. Maybe they only see 4. What other services? They might be doing cuts. They might be doing extensions. They might be doing, I don't know, waxing or whatever it is you offer inside your space. That's going to fill the rest of it. Color should take a big portion of it if you do that inside your salon. Okay. So that would be 8 color guests a month. And this is set at $65 an hour. This assistant is charging parts plus labor $65 an hour. And let's assume they're taking anywhere from 3 to 4 hours to do a color. I calculated this at 3. So 65 an hour, multiple that times 3. That's how much that color guest would be. An assistant in phase 1 or 2, especially if it's a full blonding, they might be taking close to 4. So maybe we want to err on caution and say 4. So you guys see how I'm doing that math. You create their goal. Start somewhere. Any goal is better than no goal at all. I don't want you to get so tied up in the logistics of, can they hit this? Can they not? Is this what it should be? I don't know. And then you don't set any goal at all. Start here. If you realize in 2 months of doing this, they're not hitting it, reevaluate, pivot, and set new goals. If your assistant does not know their numbers, how can you expect them to know where they're going or what they're striving for? This is the number one change in 2026 that I would be making as a non-negotiable going forward with my assistants. They need to know their numbers. They need to be tracking them, and they need to be tracking yours. So at the end of every single day, they're getting out their trackers and yours, and they're tracking the data. And then at the end of the week, they add it all up. And then at the end of the month, they add the 4 weeks up, or 5. You guys see how that comes into play? They're really going to know their numbers if they're in it every day. Number 2, your assistant should be hands-on with every single guest. Assistants should not be observing. They should be all hands on deck with every single guest. So what this includes, they're greeting the guests. They're offering snacks and beverages. They're doing a portion of the consultation. They're mixing color. They're applying color. They should be coloring every single guest with you, not just occasionally and not just the ones you choose to have them color on. Every guest, every time, they need to have their hands in their hair. Capiche? Capiche. They should be pre-booking every guest before they leave. They should be doing every shampoo experience, every root tap, every tone, all of it with you. You two are a team. They should be taking all the after photos. They should be being proactive to the guest needs without being asked, and proactive to your needs, supporting your workflow, timing, and energy on these services. Do you guys see how making your assistant such a huge part of the day and the guest experience? They have to be hands-on, guys. They have to. Done are the days of assistants standing there and watching. You won't have an assistant if they just stand and watch. I can promise you that. So why does this matter? Assistants are there to increase capacity and efficiency. This is a huge part of it. They're increasing your dollar at the end of the day, and your time and your efficiency and your capacity and your bandwidth and what you can do. They are an extension of you, another set of hands. Growth does not happen if support is passive or you have to go looking for them. So let's say they're in the break room or they're out on a smoke break, or you're like, where the F is my assistant? This is not efficient, and you are not being crystal clear with your standards. Participation builds confidence and skills. I'm going to say that again. Participation, them doing hands-on, builds confidence and skills faster than observation all day every day. I wrote that and I was like, that's not even a word. Whatever. Roll with me, guys. If assistants are waiting to be told what to do, your training lacks clarity, and this is not an efficient training program. Moving on, number 3, your assistant should fully own the guest experience every single time. What do I mean by this? I'll get into some details. The guest experience must be consistent, intentional, and non-negotiable. This matters above anything else. The guest experience matters above the technical ability all day, any day, no matter what. So making sure that they provide a 7-minute scalp massage for every single guest. Maybe yours is 10 minutes, maybe it's 5. I don't know what your standard is. And if you don't have a standard of a minute on a scalp massage, you need a standard. How long? Be very specific on, do you want your assistants and co-stylists, whatever you want to call them, to shampoo and condition your guests, specifically the scalp massage? Time a 5-minute scalp massage. Is that what you want? Time a 7-minute scalp massage. Is that what you want? Time a 10-minute. I don't care. But we have to be specific, and they cannot skip out on this. Consistency every single time. They should be following your shampoo experience exactly as written, documented, and filmed. You should have your shampoo experience filmed. Delivering the same experience to every guest, every visit, and understanding that consistency is more important than creativity and just doing what they want. I think the shampoo experience is everything. It means a lot, and we need them to be consistent. What happens when they do a 7 or 10-minute scalp massage and the guest is like, holy shit, they love it. It's one of their favorite parts of getting their hair done. Isn't it your favorite part? Getting your hair shampooed? It feels so good. They love it. And the guest falls in love with it, and they're like, holy moly, Michelle did a fantastic shampoo and scalp massage. The next time they come in 6 weeks later, your assistant's in a bad mood. They're pissed off for whatever reason. They hurry through and they give them a subpar 2-minute scalp massage, and now that guest is disappointed. Do you think this is a great guest experience overall when they're getting inconsistencies inside of their services? No. So why does this matter? Guests return because of how they feel and their experience inside of your salon and chair, not just the hair or the services they received. It's all about the experience. Inconsistency creates confusion and it weakens trust. They stop trusting you and your brand and your assistant because it's like, I guess they weren't on their A game today, or I guess I wasn't worthy of getting a longer scalp massage, or I guess they're just having a bad day, or whatever. They want to go somewhere and get consistent services. A strong experience protects retention and referrals. They're way more likely to come back and they're way more likely to refer people. Okay? Standards only work when they are followed every single time. Every day, every guest, every hour, every minute, no matter what. Consistency will always win. It's one of our core values inside Salon Lace. So going back to number 3, your assistant should fully own the guest experience every single time, and they should take accountability for that. You are leading the ship, meaning you're the one leading them, but they need to step up and lead as well. You are creating leaders, not followers. You do not want followers inside your space. You want to create other leaders. That's what this is about. Forward-thinking, solution-driven, data-based decisions, assistants that are able to one day do it on their own. You're going to create not only better stylists, but better human beings this way. So that leads us to number 4. Your assistant should communicate and participate in debriefs. If you're not debriefing, we're going to be in 2026. And if you're thinking, my assistant's been with me for a year or 9 months or 6 months, we kind of fell off the bandwagon. We just don't do that anymore. You're missing the mark. And I can promise you something's going to fall through the cracks. Or there's going to be some, ill fillings, or something's going to work up or stew because you guys are not talking and you're not communicating like you should be. Growth should be discussed regularly. So what does this include? Daily or weekly debriefs. If you are inside phase 1 of the assistant program with your assistant, meaning they are with you for 13 weeks, you're debriefing every day, no matter what, every single day. If they're with you Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays behind the chair, you're debriefing Wednesday when you're done with your last client, Thursday when you're done with your last client, and Friday when you're done with your last client. Then when you get into phase 2, switch to weekly. You're not going to have as much to discuss every day. Trust me. I would switch and sit down with them weekly. So if your last day is Friday behind the chair or Saturday, you give them 15 to 20 minutes and you talk about your week, what worked, what didn't, and what can we do better tomorrow or next week. You want to make sure they're showing up prepared for one-on-ones. They filled out their coaching prep form. They know their numbers. Their trackers are up to date. This should be a non-negotiable in 2026. They're showing up early to work and to assist. They're being open to feedback and coaching, and they're participating in all classes. So why does this matter? This prevents debriefs, prevent issues from becoming patterns. If you were to tell them right when something happened, it won't continue. I promise that. But if you don't ever say anything, it's going to continue. Let's talk about dress code. They come in something that is a little too short. Summertime, they wore a skirt. It's cute outside of work, but not work appropriate. You tell them in the debrief, you talk about it, you show them visuals, you make sure they understand, you make sure they know that, hey, that is so cute. You love their outfit, but is it work appropriate? And ask them that. See how they answer. Guarantee you they'll never wear it again. But if you don't say anything, you're going to start to build up that resentment time and time again. You're like, why the fuck does she keep wearing that skirt? You never said anything. It's not their fault. It's your fault, baby. I hope I'm hitting you guys right now. I hope I'm hitting you in the feels of like, damn. All right. Communication builds trust and alignment. They will start to trust you. You're going to be very open and transparent with your assistants. And then silence kills culture faster than mistakes. I want mistakes. I encourage mistakes. Bring them on. That's how we learn. That's how they learn. But silence does not make for a great culture. If assistants are avoiding conversations or you are avoiding conversations, your system feels unsafe or unclear, 100%. I would argue that you have no system at all, if that's the case, around daily or weekly debriefs, around your expectations about your open door policy if they can't talk to you. I would say you have no system around your one-on-ones, no system around feedback and coaching and participating and all of these things. All of this is a must of how you communicate this with your team. It is a must. All right, so let's jump into number 5. Your assistant should treat their career like a business. We are not hobby hairstylists. We don't just do it for fun at Salon Lace. Yes, we have a fun job and our career is fun and Salon Lace is fun, but your assistant should treat it like a career and like their business because they do own a business inside of your business. I don't care what you say, they own their own business. Okay? Professional results require professional behavior. So we're talking about time blocking their own admin day. This is a huge one. So number 5, I want you to write this down. Treat it like a career. They should be treating this like a career. And the number one thing I want your assistant to do in 2026 is to time block their own admin day. And you might be thinking like, why do they need an admin day? I'm the owner. I'm the one that has to be doing a million things. So do they. They should be creating content and writing captions and planning out their social and watching your Trello videos and doing their homework, like all the things that need to be done. They need an admin day. So making this a non-negotiable for your assistant, they own their business inside of yours. They need an admin day too. So if they are off on Mondays, if they are off on Sundays, if they're off random Thursdays, maybe Thursday mornings, they choose an admin day from 9 to 12 and they are planning out their content. Hold them accountable to that, to social. I promise you, if your assistants have admin days, they are way more likely to implement social. It is a fact. What about planning weekly social content? Like I said, like weekly. And they're planning out all their captions and their hooks and reels and all the things. This is another non-negotiable. They should be posting on your stories at least 3 times per shift. So anytime that your assistant is with you behind the chair and they are assisting you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I say that schedule because it was my schedule for a long time. I made sure my assistant knew no matter what, I did not care. Before they left that day, there were 3 stories on my Lacey_Jibo Instagram, on my personal one. They're doing the same for you. It is their responsibility to get content for you. You're stitching, you are coloring, you're mixing color. I don't care what it is. They get a short video, they post it. In the beginning, they're going to approve it by you. Hey, what do you think of this story? And they tag themselves in every story so they can reshare and start growing their following and their clientele on their own page. They should be tagging themselves. But it is their responsibility. And if they don't at the end of the day or the next day, I'm going to say something. Where were our stories yesterday? Please make sure you're getting 3 every single shift, no matter what. And like I said in the beginning, you're going to proof them. You're probably going to be like, hey, let me approve them. Make sure they're okay. Eventually, you won't have to do that anymore. And at the end of the day, you get on and you're like, oh, I didn't know they posted that. Look how cute, whatever. And the needle is moving forward in your business. This is creating a system and you don't hardly even have to check in on it anymore. Okay? Posting on your stories at least 3 times a shift. That's it. That is a non-negotiable. Managing their own personal brand with consistency and purpose. And they will do that if they start having their own admin day. So why does this matter? Their career is truly built outside of the chair, just like yours is. Theirs is no different. Organization creates confidence. When they get organized and they start time blocking and they start working on their business, they'll be less reactive. They'll have a social media strategy and plan. They're way more likely to implement. Casual effort produces inconsistent results and slow results. So if they're slow in building a clientele and getting guests in, it's probably due to their casual effort. Assistants must learn early that success is structured, not accidental, and that they control their own growth. You do not. You aid and you assist and you encourage and you cheer them on, and you're their biggest mentor and coach. But at the end of the day, it is up to them. You know this. I know this. They control their own growth and their destiny. How bad do they want it? Last but not least, number 6, your assistant should be actively investing in themselves and their future. And I love this one. So let's just talk about when I say in themselves, hair, skin, makeup, extensions, like they're investing in their looks. They're showing up like the stylist, like the human being that they want to become. And then investing in their future, let's talk about education. Okay. Remember, we're in the beauty industry. And for those of you to say, that's so vain, you do hair for a living, you do makeup, you do nails, skincare. If we were in any other industry, probably would never mention this. But we are in the beauty industry and they are coming to us to seek hair advice. They better be showing up looking the part. So they need to be investing in their own hair. They need to be pre-booking their own hair appointment every 6 weeks or 8 weeks. They need to be getting their own nails done or doing them or keeping them clean. I don't say they have to have a full manicure, tips on, fake nails, but keep them clean and keep them looking nice. Okay. Maybe they get their own extensions done. That's investing in you. You should invest in you. Why should your assistant be no different? Once again. And then in their education. Okay. Maybe you're identifying 1 or 2 educational goals or certifications for the year. Your assistant is nailing down 1 or 2 classes that they want to take this year. Maybe they say, hey, I want to take a social media class. That's a goal of mine. Or I want to get certified in this extension method. You should know these goals. You should know what your assistant is working towards and how to support them in their own personal goals. This is where mentorship and coaching comes down to play, especially on one-on-ones. If you coach to their goals, the numbers will follow. I promise that. It's wild how that happens. And then you need to know their annual goals for the year. All right. What do they want? What are their goals? Maybe it's to buy a new house. Maybe it's to get an apartment, move out of their parents' house. Maybe it's to buy a new car. Maybe it's to go to college. Maybe it's to get married. Maybe it's to have a baby. They're going to have their own set of goals. Have them write them down. You should know what these are. So why does this matter? Investing in yourself is how you got to where you are today. You would not be here listening to this podcast right now if you were not growth oriented and you did not invest in your own personal growth and education. Your assistant is no different. Growth is stronger when and where it's supported. That is where you come into play. You support them in this, and you do anything and everything you can to help them achieve these goals. Assistants who believe in themselves show up differently. And I truly, truly believe this, and I've seen this time and time again. The assistants that show up early, that come prepared, that bring their lunch, that show up hair and makeup ready, they're just on a different level. You guys have probably had team members that have done this. They are a different breed and a different level, and they will reach their goals and results quicker, faster than those who do not. And their confidence shines through because of it. Okay. You cannot support a vision that you do not know about. You have to know your assistant's goals. So what I'd love you to do is write them down, save them in your phone, print them and put them in a binder. I don't care what you do, but you need to have them somewhere. I did all of this. I would write them down. I would save them in my phone under an album that said Salon Lace Babes 2025 goals. And then I'd also print them and put them in a binder that said Salon Lace goals. Had them on my phone everywhere I go, have them on Google Doc, had them in a binder in my office at the salon. Like I knew my team's goals and I could go back and reference them at any time. And I did during every single one-on-one. And I would always come back to those annual goals when I was coaching and mentoring every 6 weeks. So that was a lot to take in. These are standards that protect your time, your energy, and your business. If these expectations feel heavy, or if I just hit a nerve, I'm sorry, but not really. It does not mean that your assistants are incapable. It means that expectations were never clearly defined, and we have to. It is a must as we go into 2026. Okay. 2026 is going to require more structure, clear standards, and intentional leadership for your business to thrive. I promise. Okay. I would be making note of all 6 of these standards, scheduling a time to communicate these to your assistant. And if it seemed like a lot, break it down. What are your 6 standards? Maybe some of these are not at the top of your list. That's okay. Maybe you come up with 4. And I have standards and I have, certain bullet points under each one. But like overall, these are non-negotiables. I would make sure that my assistants knew this. You have to communicate to them. Okay. But here's the thing. You cannot just say it one time and forget it or not hold your assistant accountable. You have to constantly be talking about these things and you need to show up and live and breathe these standards. We lead this way. We lead by example, and it all starts with you. Okay? So, what's your first step? Go back through. If you're driving, if you're walking, I would re-listen and write these down, these 6 non-negotiables, and write the ones that mean the most to you. And what are you carrying into with your assistants? What are your non-negotiables in 2026? Okay. I hope this is helpful and I hope you guys love this episode. It was definitely one I wanted to close out the year with as we go into the new year. And I was like, what are the things that my salon owners and students and listeners and followers need to know? Like, these are some of the most important things. All right. And as we end the year, and if you have not set your annual goals, I would love for you guys to join us in our 2026 habit reset. It's going to be December 28th, 29th, and 30th. It's on IG and Instagram, all my close friends. You have to be a close friend, so I have to add you for you guys to be in on this. As long as you watch the training and my stories in a 24-hour time frame, you could do it in the morning, you could do it in the evening, you could do it before bed. I don't care when you do it. It just has to be in that 24 hours on the 28th, the 29th, the 30th. So I always say, from my couch to yours, there is no Zoom. You could do no hair mess. Hair could be messy, no makeup. You could be in your PJs. I don't really care. But I hope you join us if you need to tighten and set annual goals for the year. If you really need a good morning and evening routine, how do you stay consistent with that? I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks. How do I set my workday and startup rituals? What is a workday startup ritual? I'm going to tell you guys that during the training. Okay. So just DM me the word close, like close friends, CLOSE, shoot me a direct message and I'll add you. It's at Lacey_Gebo, LACEY_GEBO. And I look forward to seeing you guys, and Merry Christmas. Christmas is this week. Holy shit. How is it already Christmas time? So much love to you guys. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Spend all the time with your spouse, your fur babies, your husband, your wife, your kids, your mom, your dad, and just soak up the moments and the memories. I really hope that you can just turn off, put your phone away, and be where your feet are and be with your loved ones. That's what this is about. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you next week right here on the podcast. Bye, guys.